£2,000. That's a fair quote for replacing a timing chain on a BMW diesel before it fails. Not after. Before. The chain isn't a special chain. The parts are the cheap half of that job. The bill is the hours, because BMW put that chain at the back, at the gearbox end, and the gearbox has to come off to reach it. Specialists quote it as a 30-hour job. Same part, different postcode on the engine, and you'd have paid a fraction of it. So here's the one thing to hold on to for the whole video, because it decides everything else. It isn't the price of the part that ruins you, it's where they put it. And let's knock this title down before we go further, because you'd be right to be suspicious of it. Better than BMW isn't true across the board. 2 of the 5 brands here can't do a straight 6, can't do proper rear-wheel drive, and can't give you that steering. If that's what you're buying, nothing on this list replaces it, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. What we're measuring is narrower, and it's the bit nobody puts on the windscreen. How often you end up standing at a service desk, and what it costs when you get there. On one UK warranty book, BMW came out at a claim rate of 18.13% in a single year, with an average bill of £749. Near enough 1 car in 5, and the average across all 22 brands on that book was £651. Stay with me, because number 1 isn't a downgrade. It's a premium brand. It does rear-wheel drive, and on real warranty claims, it's the most reliable manufacturer in Britain. I'm Terry Halloran, and this is British Vehicles. No manufacturer pays us a penny. No press cars, and we don't sell cars. Everything here comes from published data, and we'll tell you which is which. Do me a favour before we start. Hit subscribe. It's free and it costs you nothing, and this is the sort of thing that stops a mate signing for something daft on a Saturday morning. Right? Where this comes from, because there's a mountain of American content on BMW reliability, and almost none of it lands here. Over here, the numbers that matter are the What Car, Reliability Survey, the Honest John Satisfaction Index, Warranty-wise, the MOT records the DVSA publishes, and warranty claims data from Warranty Solutions Group. That last one's the interesting one. It doesn't ask anybody how they feel about their car. It counts claims made and claims paid. Real faults, real bills, real money. There's more than one cut of it, so we'll say which every time. A 22-brand study covering a year of claims to June 2025, which is where BMW's 18.13% and its $749 come from, and a later one across 35 manufacturers, which we'll use at number 1. 2 things we haven't got. There's no UK figure for how many of any model are sat and sold on a forecourt. Nobody publishes that here, whatever you've been told. And this is brand-level data, so there's absolutely a good BMW and a bad Toyota. Judge the engine and the history in front of you, not the badge. Number 5. Suzuki. Half of you have just pulled a face, and I understand why. Nobody's ever sat in a pub telling their mates about their Vitara. It's the badge nobody brags about. Here's why it's on a list about BMW. In the newest cut of that data, claims from May 2025 to April 2026 across 29 manufacturers, Suzuki came out top of the whole British market at 6.229%. And in the wider study, the average Suzuki bill was 447s against BMW's 749s. 300 quid a visit and far fewer visits. The mechanism is dull, which is exactly why it works. Suzuki builds small, light cars and they don't bury anything. Less weight through the suspension, smaller brakes doing less work, less strain through the gearbox. And when something does go, it's at the front of the engine, at the top, with room round it. 2 hours of labour instead of 20. The cover backs it up. 3 years or 60,000 miles to start, same as BMW. But every service at a Suzuki dealer puts another 12 months on, renewing up to 10 years or 100,000 miles. It applies backwards to older cars, and you can rejoin if you've been away. BMW gives you 3 years and unlimited miles, then it's over and they'll sell you cover. Now the honest bit, and it's a real one, the current Swift scored 3 stars at Euro NCAP in 2024. 67% adult occupant, 65% child. The Jimny got 3 back in 2018 as well. If you're carrying grandchildren about, that's a proper consideration and no warranty fixes it. Read the report and decide for yourself. On tax, nothing Suzuki sells gets near the 40 grand list price that triggers the extra charge, so you're on the standard rate. We'll come back to that because it catches half the cars in this video. Verdict: you're not buying a better car than a BMW. You're buying one where nothing important is hidden behind something else. That's the rule first time. Number 4, Mazda. This one's for the person who bought the BMW because they actually like driving. Mazda's the only firm still building cars on that logic at sensible money. Numbers first. In the 22 brand study, Mazda posted a claim rate of 10-40% with an average bill of 629s. BMW, same book, same year, 18.13% and 749s, not quite half as often, and 120 quid less each time. And here's the mechanism. While everybody else bolted a small turbo onto everything to win a fuel figure on paper, Mazda kept a big chunk of the petrol range naturally aspirated. Bigger capacity, no turbocharger, timing chain. A turbo spins in exhaust gas at speeds you can't picture on an oil feed, at temperatures that cook that oil every time you switch off hot. It's a wear item pretending not to be one. No turbo means that 4-figure build doesn't exist on the car. Not unlikely. Absent. And the chain sits at the front, behind a cover. Same job as the BMW one, different money entirely, because a man can reach it with the engine still in the car. On cover, Mazda quietly did something big. Anything registered from September 2025 comes with 6 years and 100,000 miles as standard, as long as you keep to the service schedule. 6 years. The honest bit, and it's a big one. Stay away from the 2.2 diesel unless you do proper miles. To burn the soot out of the filter, the engine squirts extra fuel in late in the cycle to get the exhaust hot. On short runs that burn never finishes. The unburnt fuel washes past the rings into the sump. The oil level climbs above the max mark and the oil thins out. You'll smell diesel on the dipstick and hear a tapping from the top end. Independent Mazda specialists see it constantly, and they change the oil at half the book interval to stay ahead of it. If you do 3 miles to the shops and 3 back, no diesel on this list suits you, and I'd rather say that now than sell you a countdown. On tax, most of the range sits under the 40 grand line. A loaded CX-60 or CX-80 clears it, so check the list price it had when new, not what you're paying. Verdict: buy the naturally aspirated petrol. Less fitted, and what is fitted is where a garage can get at it. That's the rule again. Quick favour before the top 3. If this is any use to you, give the like button a tap. Takes a second, costs you nothing, and it shoves this in front of somebody who's about to sign for the wrong motor this weekend. Cheers. Number 3. Honda. Honda beat BMW on both halves of the sum, and that's rarer than you'd think. A claim rate of 9.92% against 18.13%, and an average bill of 489 against 749. Roughly half as often, and 260 quid less when it happens. On the used ones, it's the K-Series petrol. Naturally aspirated, chain at the front, fed by the oil. And it is a chain, not a belt. If a garage quotes you a cam bolt on one, get a second quote. The modern reason is better. Honda's hybrid hasn't got a conventional gearbox in it at all. No torque converter. No clutch packs. No dual clutch. No belt. Most of the time the petrol engine drives a generator and a motor drives the wheels, and at a steady cruise, one lock-up clutch ties the engine to the road. Count what's missing. Every one of those is a thing that fails at year 8 on somebody else's car. Sat inside a housing, you've got to lift the engine to open. Cover has moved too. Standard is 3 years or 90,000 miles. For cars registered from April 2026, servicing at a Honda retailer extends it a year at a time up to 8 years or 100,000 miles, recorded in Honda's own digital record. Buying one of those used, look for Honda stamps specifically. One service elsewhere and the extension's gone. The honest bit, and it's why Honda's at 3 and not 1. Parts can sting when it does go wrong, and the network is smaller than it was. Honda shut Swindon in 2021, and it hasn't got bigger since. The range is small now too, so if you want a big estate or a diesel, Honda haven't got one for you. On tax, the Civic, the Jazz, and most HRVs sit well under the threshold. A loaded CRV knocks on the door of it. Verdict. Honda's answer to complexity was to delete the gearbox. That's the rule again. They took the expensive parts out of the equation entirely. Number 2, Toyota. Toyota topped that 22 brand study outright, a claim rate of 7.02% and an average bill of 479. In the newest cut it came second at 7.09%. And when the same firm looked at used SUVs, the RAV4 came out the most reliable in the country at 9.78%, ahead of the Duster and ahead of the BMW X3. Now the mechanism, because it's the one nobody ever has explained to them properly. The Toyota hybrid gearbox isn't a gearbox. No torque converter, no clutch pack, no dual clutch, no belt, no bands. It's a planetary gear set with the engine on one part of it and 2 electric motors on the others, and the ratio is managed electrically by varying how hard those motors work. Nothing slips, so there are no friction surfaces wearing out. That's the whole trick. The petrol engine runs on the Atkinson cycle at low load and switches off in traffic, so it does fewer hard hours, and the brakes last for years because the motor does most of the slowing before the pads ever touch. Ask a minicab driver what's on 180,000 miles on the original box. And credit where it's due, the ZF 8-speed in a BMW is a brilliant gearbox, and I'm not having anybody say otherwise. But it's a torque converter, 8 sets of clutches and a mechatronic unit inside managing hydraulic pressure. Superb until it isn't, and it lives under the car in one sealed lump, the honest bit. Toyotas are dull, and the hybrid drones when you boot it, because the revs go up and stay up while the speed catches up. Some people can't live with that noise. The interiors are plain next to a BMW's, and nobody's pretending different. And the 10-year cover only stays alive if you keep going back to a Toyota dealer. That's a warranty and a leash. On tax, a Corolla or a Yaris is nowhere near the threshold. A Land Cruiser or a top RAV4 clears 40 grand list without trying, and then you're paying the same premium the BMW owner is. Verdict. Toyota built a transmission with nothing in it to wear out. That's the rule, hardest version. Right. Before number 1. If you've stuck with me this far, do me a favour and subscribe, because number 1 is the one nobody sees coming. Number 1. Lexus. Not a joke and not a hot take. This is the data. In that wider study, more than 15,000 authorised claims across 35 manufacturers, Lexus had the lowest claim rate in Britain at 5.79%. The average across all 35 was 28.3%. And on MOT records, Lexus has the highest pass rate of any make in the country at 86.4% across more than 250,000 tests. BMW's on 84.4% there, which is a respectable number, and I'll say so. Now the honest bit up front, because most people leave it out, Lexus doesn't win on the size of the bill. Its average claim came in at 639, against an all-brand average of 621. When a Lexus goes wrong, it costs slightly more than average to put right. Premium parts cost premium money. What it wins on, by a distance, is how rarely you're stood at that desk at all. 5.79 against 28.3. Do that sum over 8 years and it isn't close. And the mechanism is the punchline of the whole video. A Lexus is Toyota hardware in a heavier, quieter body. The same hybrid transaxle with nothing slipping inside it. The same missing turbo, missing dual clutch, missing belt. What you're paying the premium for is sound deadening, seats and paint. You're not paying for extra complication underneath, and that is exactly what you're paying for at the other place. Then the cover, and this is the bit almost nobody knows. 3 years or 60,000 miles to start. After that, every qualifying service at a Lexus centre puts another 12 months on, up to 10 years or 100,000 miles. And it applies to used cars. Buy a 6-year-old one that's been serviced God knows where, put it through a Lexus centre, and you walk out with 12 months of manufacturer cover on a car that age. The honest bit, and there's more than one. There are far fewer Lexus centres than BMW ones, so find your nearest before you commit, because the warranty only renews there. On the old RX 300, the automatic gearbox is a Camry saloon unit under a heavy SUV, and that's the real weak point, more than anything else people warn you about. 25 to the gallon too. And an RX or an NX sails past 40 grand list when new, so the tax premium catches it exactly like it catches the BMW. The badge doesn't save you from the DVLA. Verdict. The reliability crown's been sat in the claims data the whole time. It just didn't come with a driving dynamics advertising budget. It isn't the price of the part that ruins you, it's where they put it. And I'll say this next bit carefully because I'm not telling you there's a scheme. It's quieter than any conspiracy. 2 examples. The 8-speed automatic in a lot of these cars is built by ZF, and BMW calls the fluid in it a lifetime fill. ZF, who make the box, publish a service interval, and the figures quoted in the trade sit around 8 years or the far side of 50,000 miles, with ZF's own advice being to shorten it under heat and load. Lifetime, in practice, means as long as the warranty. Independent specialists change it anyway. Second one, that 10-year Toyota and Lexus cover applies to used cars that were never serviced in the network. Almost nobody mentions it because nobody in the trade gets paid to send you to a Lexus centre. Nobody hid either of those. There's just no profit in mentioning them, so the knowledge grew over like a footpath nobody walks. The people who get caught out by it aren't daft, and they aren't careless. They bought the badge everyone agrees is beautifully made, and it is beautifully made. They just never got asked the second question, not is it good? But what happens in year 8, and who can reach the part? Quick run back. 5 Suzuki, lowest claim rate in the country on the latest data, 300 quid a visit cheaper, and €3 NCAP stars you need to weigh yourself. 4 Mazda, no turbo to fail, chain at the front where you can reach it, and 6 years of warranty as standard now. 3 Honda, beats BMW on both halves of the sum, and its hybrid hasn't got a gearbox in it to brake. 2 Toyota, a transmission with nothing inside it that slips, and the most reliable used SUV in Britain on real claims. And 1 Lexus, lowest claim rate of 35 manufacturers, 10 years of cover, and Toyota mechanicals under a quiet body. Here's what I actually want you to take away, and it's bigger than these 5 brands. 2 things decide what a car costs you: how much is fitted to it, and how long it takes a mechanic to reach the thing that failed. Nobody puts either on the windscreen, and the second one never appears in a road test. Now the bit almost nobody puts in these videos, and it quietly changes the answer. Tax. For 2026 to 2027, the standard rate is $200 a year from the car's second year. But if the list price when it was new was over $40,000, you pay another $440 on top for years 2 to 6. That's $640 a year and $2,200 over the 5. It's the published list price including factory-fitted options, not what anybody paid after a discount, and it follows the car, not the buyer. So it's your bill on a used one. Think about what that catches. A 3 Series with a few options, an X3, an X5, an RX, a Land Cruiser, and what it doesn't. A Swift, a Yaris, a Corolla, a Civic, a Mazda 3. Same road, same year, thousands apart before anybody's fixed anything. For electric cars, that threshold went up to $50,000 from April 2026, so check which side yours sits. Look up the exact registration on the Gov UK checker before you fall in love with it. It's free and it takes a minute. Same with emission zones. Never take a seller's word that a car's ULEZ or LEZ compliant. Put the registration into the Transport for London checker or your own council's and read the answer yourself. Getting that wrong is 12 times 50 a day, and one thing that costs nothing on whatever you already drive. Next cold morning, drop the window and start it, and listen to the first 2 seconds. Not the 10th, the first 2. A short metallic rattle that clears as the oil pressure comes up is a chain, a tensioner, or a guide telling you it's tired. Most people hear that for months and decide it's just what the car does. Caught early, it's a job. Left alone, it's an engine. So tell me in the comments, what have you got, how many miles is it on, and what's the biggest bill you've had in the last 2 years? And here's the bit I actually want to know. Was that bill mostly the part, or mostly the hours to reach the part? Actual numbers, not what you reckon about the badge. And if you've run a BMW to 150,000 without a murmur, say so, because that's data too. If we've got something wrong, tell us straight. We'd rather be put right. There's a card up on screen now with another one of these. Have a look. It's worth your time. Buy with your head, not the badge. This video is based on publicly available recall notices, MOT test data, safety ratings, reliability surveys, and independent review evidence current at time of publication. Individual vehicle outcomes vary. Some models may have had subsequent updates, recalls, or improvements. Always obtain current information and independent advice before making any purchase decision.